Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So back in December of 2016, I built my monster Linux PC. A big shout out to my brother for designing the whole build. And the GPU that he got me was this one right here, the AMD RX 470 4GB GPU. And this is one of the best values in graphics card, especially for someone like myself where I am not a modern gamer. I am more of a retro gamer. So basically, I never even played Steam until I actually built this PC. And now in 2019, a lot of things have changed, especially for people who use Linux, because Steam introduced Proton, which is basically a modified version of Wine. And it is a compatibility layer that will allow you to play Windows games in Linux through Steam, and it's absolutely changed everything. However, how does this card still perform today in 2019? Well, I would say pretty good. And so I'm going to show you how this performs for native Linux games in Steam, and then by using Steam Play with Proton to play actual Windows games. Now, this card, whenever it did first come out, it was about $200. And now you could probably get that for less than $100 on eBay because you can't really get this new anymore. And so let's go ahead and get to the machine and show you how this performs. So before we get into the Steam games, let me go over what I'm working with in terms of my operating system and my hardware. And my operating system is Linux Mint 19.1 Tesla. I do have an Intel Core i7-6700K running at 4 gigahertz with 16 gigs of RAM. My motherboard is an MSI Tomahawk, and my graphics card is obviously the AMD RX 470 GPU with 4 gigs of RAM. I am using the open source Mesa drivers. And in terms of storage, I actually have 3 different hard drives. I have 2 SSD. One is a 750 gig, which is where all my Steam games are stored. 250 gigs for my operating system. And then an additional 4 terabytes of storage, this mechanical drive, for all my additional storage. But my games are going to be running off the SSD. So let's go ahead and get into Steam. And the settings that I'm using for Steam Play, I am using the Proton 3.16-7 beta. Now, before I get into the games, I will put a disclaimer out there that I am screen recording this at a 2K resolution at 30 frames per second using OBS. And so your experience of the gameplay is not going to be the same as mine. And because I am screen recording, it's not going to be at the highest performance possible. However, I will give you some general ideas of what I'm experiencing whenever I'm not screen recording. Now, if you are going to be doing this on your Linux PC as well, and you do want to play Windows games in Linux using the Proton layer, I highly recommend that you go to this site. This will allow you to download the DXVK Vulkan based compatibility layer and also some updated drivers that will give you the best performance whenever you are running these Windows games in Linux. I will leave all of that information in the description area below. So the games I'm going to try first are actually native to Linux and Steam OS. And so the game I'm going to play here is Last Fight. This game is very similar to Power Stone, which was a classic game on the Sega Dreamcast. Now, this game was actually developed by some French developers, but I really do like the graphic style, and it has a lot of humor to it. Now, let's go ahead and go into the settings to show you what I have right here. There. So as you can see there, my resolution is there, my quality, I'm gonna say fantastic. I think that's the best quality I could get. Let's go ahead and try this out. And this is just a really fun game. I don't think it's as good as Power Stone. Obviously that was actually developed by a much bigger company called Capcom. And it was actually one of my favorite games on Sega Dreamcast. And check this out. So, as you can see here, as you can probably tell, it works pretty good. No problems at all. This isn't really a highly intensive game. And if you could look on the top right, that's where I have my frames per second meter. This is through Steam itself. And so, you can see there, I'm running at about 60 frames per second. So for me, my gauge of whether or not a game is running well is 30 frames or more. And this is more than enough for me when it comes to gaming. And this is a really fun game, I would say. Especially, you know, when you have multiple players at the same time. I would say the game mechanics could be improved, but once again, you know, I'm comparing this to something like Power Stone, which is so amazing. So no problems there. So if you're playing games like this where, you know, it's not really graphical intensive, it's more casual type gaming, as you can see here, the graphics card has no problems at all running this at really good settings. And now let's go ahead and move over to something that's going to require a little bit more horsepower out of your Linux PC. Okay, so now we're going to move over to games that are more intensive on your graphic cards. Now, these aren't the most recent games. However, they still tax your system, starting with BioShock Infinite. So let's go ahead and start this. $2K games back in 2013. All right. I never really played the original BioShock, so this was actually my first experience in BioShock, and it was a pretty good experience if you ask me. The graphics quality still hold up really well today. So here is the game. I'm going to show you my graphic settings first so that you kind of get an idea of what I'm working with here. So you go here. My settings, they should be on, there's 2K and on Ultra. Now, I haven't adjusted anything else. I just leave it on presets, but Ultra is pretty high for most machines. And let's go ahead and go back. And let's go ahead and start the game where I left off. And I was really impressed by the graphic quality here. And even when it was first released, a lot of people praised the graphics. And it definitely did use a lot of your resources on your machine, so you definitely needed a beefy machine to get these type of settings back then. And if you look in the top right, I'm at about 53 frames per second, and as you can see here, I think the graphics are still gorgeous. Now, I will say that at least on my machine, at these settings, there still are some pop-up issues, and you will see that as I go. But overall, to me, this looks really stunning, even today in 2019. So I really do suck at first-person shooters. I'm going to put that out there. I'm not great at them at all. However, I could last for, you know, just enough time to show you the gameplay, and then some enemy will probably destroy me. So check that out. I think this looks really great. Wow. And then you probably saw some popping right there. I haven't tried this out on the lower settings because for me, you know, I don't need it to be at the highest quality all the time. And I have played this at lower resolutions. I just didn't really like it. And so that's why I go ahead and play this even with the various pop-in problems that I have. But as you can see there, man, this is really crazy. Now, if you have been on Linux for a while, and you remember the days when you had to use Wine for everything, something like this was not possible. And especially now, being able to play modern Windows games through Steam, that would have actually been something like a dream for a lot of people. Check this out. The environment is just great, man. I love all these effects. I don't know much about graphics GPU settings, but I'm pretty sure this is using quite a few effects. And as you could probably tell here, there's not much in the way of stutter, I would say. It's fairly smooth. And if you did run your games at a much lower resolution, like at 1080p and lower settings, obviously you could get even better performance. But this just kind of shows you, even with a graphics card, a budget graphics card that is 2 years old, it still looks really great to me. And no problems playing here. And so I'm going to go ahead and move to another game. Okay, so now we're going to try Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. So whenever this game came out in 2014, it was a graphical powerhouse and it required a lot out of your machine. And so here it's going to tell me that, you know, my graphics card driver is not supported. So I'm going to continue anyway. And this game, I've never played any of them. I think there was one that came out before this or after, I can't remember. But obviously this is based upon the whole Lord of the Rings movies and books. And this is using the Havoc engine. And Feral, I think they do a lot of translations for Linux games. And you see another one right after this is from the same developers. So let's go ahead and look at the actual settings that I have once this starts up. And Yeah, Shadow of Mordor. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to options right here. So here is my graphic settings, full screen, 2K. Let me see if I could go back to other settings here. Advanced options. So right here, I really don't have it at the highest quality because this game, it does require quite a bit when it comes to hardware, and so I didn't want it to have you know, unplayable frame rates. But as you see, you know, the game works pretty well, as a matter of fact. So let's go ahead and start this story mode. And I don't know how to play this game, to be honest with you, because I've never really played it. So you'll probably see me die really quickly while this loads up. Okay, so there I am, and as you can see there, I'm getting around 60 frames per second. And as you see in a lot of these games, at least with this GPU native Linux settings, you're normally going to get around 50 to 60 frames per second. At least that's what I get. And whenever I'm not screen recording, it's not too much different. I'm probably going to get maybe 60 to 70, somewhere around there. But as long as it's, you know, above 30 for me, it's pretty good. And you know, at these high settings, I could definitely get more frames per second if I ran this at a lower resolution and lower graphic quality settings. And I'll probably be saying that a lot, but check that out. You know, I think the graphic quality in this is really good. No complaints there. And obviously, most of these games are all available on the console. As a matter of fact, every single one of these games, they are available on a console. But I would say that you're gonna get a much better experience here, even on a Linux PC, because depending on your hardware, you could get more performance out of it and tweak it to your needs. And once again, the AMD RX 470 with 4 gigs has no problems running this. You know, as you can see here. Wow, I'm doing some crazy damage. Look at that! Look at that skill. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do next, but we keep slashing them. And as you can see there, the frame rate, it's still constant. And that's one thing I did really enjoy about playing these native Linux games, that things remain consistent, you know. It didn't go really crazy, you know, from one thing to another. And in terms of graphical glitches here and there, it depends really on the optimizations on the games, and obviously the hardware that you're working with besides your graphics card. So overall, once again, looks really good, extremely playable. I don't have any complaints here. About the only complaint I probably have is that I really suck playing these newer games. But that is Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. So the final native Linux game that I'm testing out today is Rise of the Tomb Raider. This is actually the sequel to the reboot of Tomb Raider. And this one was a very powerful graphics game. It required quite a bit out of your machine, especially when it was first released. However, I still think today in 2019, it still looks stunning. So let me go ahead and show you the graphics settings that I have right here. So let's go to graphics. And as you can see here, everything is pretty much high. So let's go back and let's go ahead and start the game. And we'll see how the AMD RX 470 GPU does on a game that definitely will tax your system. Okay, so there I am, dropped right into the game. As you could probably tell, man, the graphic quality in this is pretty stunning to me. Hats off to the developers. And the whole Tomb Raider series on the PC, it's been known to be, you know, something that requires a lot of good hardware to get the max out of it. And as you can see here, I'm getting around 39 to 40 frames per second. However, when I'm not screen recording, I'm normally getting anywhere from 40 to 60. And so, no slouch there. And I've never really played much of this game. I think I've played like maybe 20 minutes of this game so far. and so I'm not really sure where to go. But look at that right there, man, it's really crazy. I might drop and fall. I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go. Okay, so we now are climbing. Let's look at my rock climbing skills. Yeah, pretty awesome. This is what I do in real life, by the way, you know, every day. Let's see. I'm not sure how to get up there. Whoa, yeah. Oh man, I bet this game would be pretty sweet in VR.
Something's here.
So let's go ahead and get dirty.
Could this really be it?
Okay, can I get in there? Yes. So she could probably tell, no problems at all, more than playable. And at 40 to 50 frames per second, actually I normally get, like I said, 50 to 60 when I'm not screen recording. Incredible. It is extremely a great experience, high details, great graphical quality. And I really feel Rise of the Tomb Raider, it actually runs better than the original Tomb Raider, at least on Linux whenever I first tried this out. So if you look there, look at the quality settings on her face. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and skip that. I'm going to show you a little bit more because this really does show you how well a game can look and perform whenever you are running native. Alright, natively in Linux. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Let me look around. Yeah, cool. So there it is. So those are all the native Linux games that I've tested out so far. And overall, as you could probably tell, the overall game experience is solid. But now we're going to move over to playing modern Windows games or newer Windows games right through Linux using Steam Play with Proton. So let's see how that performs. Okay, so let's move over to the part where I think it's the most exciting for Linux gamers, because now we're actually able to play a lot of native Windows games right here in Linux through the Proton Compatibility layer. And this is something that I thought would never happen, but in 2018, Steam and Valve and the Wine Group actually did it. So let's go ahead and start with something that's really casual. As you can see there, it runs using Steam Play, so that's how you know it's not native to Linux. And so just consider that all of this is being run through a compatibility layer. So if this was running natively Linux, it would definitely run better than what I get here. So the first one I'm trying is one of my favorite games, at least series, Strider. This is an old school game for me, but I just want to show you something that's more casual. And let's go to the options first. Let's see. So everything should be high. There really isn't much graphic settings right here. So let's go ahead and continue a game that I already had. And this one is no problem at all to actually run this because there's not a lot of 3D elements. I mean, there are, but you know, obviously it's nothing like a Tomb Raider. And check this out. Smooth game, great graphics, and being Strider Ryu, baddest ninja. Can't complain. Whoa. So what I really love about this whole compatibility layer is that the whole experience first is very easy and seamless. You know, you just start the game and it runs. It installs all the Windows drivers that you need through the compatibility layer. And that's just what blows me away, you know, and the whole compatibility keeps getting better and better. And so, you know, after a while, you won't have an issue with being somebody who loves video games because now you could play all of it through Linux, you know, and you don't necessarily need to have a Windows machine to play a lot of your games. You know, at least that is what my thoughts are, you know. And so that's probably what's going to happen, you know. I think right now, at least the ones that are fully supported, you know, it's probably close to 100 games. However, those are the ones that have been tested fully. And these games like this, I'm just trying it out, you know. So I really recommend that you go ahead and just try out your own games in your library. And you'll be pleasantly surprised in the ones that actually work. So that is Strider. As you can see there, it's 60 frames per second. No problems at all for this GPU. So now I'm gonna test something out that I haven't tried before in terms of my previous videos, and this is one that is a very new game comparatively, and that is Dark Souls 3. Now I will say that this game absolutely destroyed me. I've never played a Dark Souls game before, and so I wasn't ready for the amount of pain I was about to suffer. So Bandai Namco, I never would have thought. And there's From Software. Dark Souls 3, be ready to die. Yes. So let me show you first the settings that I have whenever I was playing it before. But I'm gonna try it out on a higher resolution, my 2K, because I tried this on the 2K resolution and it didn't work well at all, and so I had to bring it down to 1080p. So let me show you the settings that I have here. Okay, move it there. So this is my video settings. Where was it at? So it's at 1920 by 1080. Quality settings is high, and I'm going to show you this first. So this is around, you can see there's 60 frames per second, and so at 1080p it doesn't have any problems running, so that's definitely a good thing. But whenever I move up in the resolution, it will be a problem. It will be a problem for sure, because this requires much more. But once again, this is running on the compatibility layer through Proton. Still playable, still playable. So let me go ahead and change this resolution. So I want to show you this real quick. So if you wanted the best performance out of this game, at least with this GPU, I highly recommend that you run this at 1080p. It still looks great to me. So let me see if I could change this resolution before I get killed. Oh great, I just got, how do I pause this? I don't even know how to pause this game before I get destroyed. That is not fair. I can't even like change my settings without getting destroyed. Alright, so let's go ahead and go here, and I'm going to change my resolution if I don't die. Alright, I just died. Great. Yes. So let's try that again. So let's go ahead and change there. I can't believe I can't change my settings and pause, or maybe I don't know how to do that. So let me see if I could change this. Okay, resolution, and we'll go down to my max resolution. No, yes. Keep current settings, yes. And now, as you could probably tell, it dropped down to 38 to 40 frames. So, wow, I'm really surprised, because the last time that I tried this, it was almost unplayable. So, I don't know. That was really weird. So, I take back what I said about not being able to run this at a higher resolution, because it is now running at a 2K resolution. So as you can see here from Dark Souls 3, this looks really good. I'm really impressed, this is running through the Windows compatibility. It's so amazing to me that they're able to do this. And this is one game that I think a lot of people enjoy. Obviously, it has a huge fan base, made great sales, and so now that gamers are able to enjoy this through Linux, through Proton, definitely not something that I think people expected. So now you're gonna see me die, because this enemy is hard. And this is only the first boss encounter, whatever the case. And I didn't last long. Wow, yeah, that's not fun. Oh man, that's not nice. So let's try this again. Take you down. Ooh. Maybe I should use my shield. I don't know, man. So, just by playing Dark Souls 3, it reminds me so much of gaming back in the days where games were hard, you know. But this is on another level. Man, look at those graphics. I can't even enjoy the graphics. Wow, I just destroyed him. Okay, did I? I'm getting close to it. Oh, okay. Alright, now I died. And that is Dark Souls 3. As you can see there, running in 2K. I was getting around 40 to around 50 frames per second. So excellent quality, and a game that is not old. This is a fairly new game overall, and something that I think a lot of people will now enjoy playing in Linux. So the next game is one that needs no introduction, and that is Doom. Now, I did do a previous video testing this using Vulkan, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you that right now. Okay, so right here, you can see right here, these are all the settings. I am running Vulkan, and I will say that I am recording this in 30 frames per second. This is a 2K resolution. So I did try to record this in 60 frames, but honestly, it looked pretty bad. And so let's go ahead and look at some of the settings first, so then I can show you the graphic settings that I actually have right now. As you can see here, there's Vulkan, and my overall quality is ultra on everything here. And so the quality might not be as great, you know, because I am screen recording, but as you'll probably see, it's still really solid, and I attribute a lot of that to not only my hardware, but just what they've been able to do with Vulkan here through Linux. And you know, if this was running natively in Linux, it would be even faster. But if you look at the frames per second on the top right, it's at around 50 to 60 to 40. So absolutely playable. And then whenever I am playing this without screen recording, it can go anywhere from 60 to 80, which is pretty amazing for me, as I'm somebody who pretty much says, well, just over 30 frames is good enough for me. But man, it just looks amazing, and at this ultra quality, I cannot complain at all. It's absolutely amazing to me. And look at this game. I just love Doom so much. I mean, this is something I don't really think I could ever really get bored of, to be honest with you. It is my favorite first-person shooter for any modern system right now. And whenever Doom Eternal comes out, it can only get better. That's for sure. Oh man. Oh jeez, look at this. And if I had a better graphics card, I'm pretty sure I could do this game even better justice when it comes to actual screen recording. But I think this gives you a good idea of what you get with this Vulkan API right here. So now let's move over to Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain, Hideo Kojima's last great game at Konami. One that I have wanted to play for a long time, but I didn't have any modern console, so I couldn't play it. But now, with Steam, Linux, Proton, I am able to play this. And at really high resolutions, great graphic quality. Kojima Productions. Oh, it's kind of sad in a way to see that now after what happened at Konami. But this legendary game maker, his games will live on forever. And he was with Konami for so many decades. So check that out there. And let me go ahead and show you the settings that I actually had. So let's go ahead and display settings right here. No, that's not it. Game settings, graphic settings right there. Okay, so as you can see there, it's high. You know, I could go higher, but for me, you know, I want really great settings, but not so much that it actually affects my gameplay. All right, so as you can see there, excellent quality.
The map has been updated.
And for this one, normally, you know, just like all the other games, 50 to 60 frames per second. still super impressed that this is running through a compatibility layer, because honestly, when I was playing those native Linux games, they were getting around 60 frames per second, and this isn't even native. So running natively is probably going to be amazing. But honestly, at this amount of frame rates, you know, I can't complain. And I'm pretty sure some of these games, they might be capped out at 60 frames, because that's how they were developed. So as you can see here, man, just stunning. Great graphics. No problem in Linux. Let's have fun with this. Nope. Boy, I really do not know what I'm doing. So, yeah. Yes. Let's shoot some birds. Alright. So, enough playing around. Let me show you a little bit more here. Smooth gameplay. Yeah, Solid Snake has never looked this good. Especially here in Linux, because he's never been on Linux. At least not natively. Alright. I'm going in the interiors here, just to kind of show you some of the details that this game has, and how the actual AMD RX 470 GPU handles this. So, handles it well. And I wish I could say, man, let me show you how this performs, and it's worse or it's better, but man, it's consistent. And that's what I really enjoy. You know, you're consistently going to get great frame rates, high graphic quality settings, and honestly, like little to no compromise, you know, especially for somebody who is a, you know, just a casual gamer. And I still think even at these levels, this is, I think, beyond, you know, what casual gaming standards are. I think for most people who are casual gamers, they probably have some type of console, and this is going to give you a better than console experience when it comes to graphic quality. So that is Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, using Proton with AMD RX 470 GPU. So let's go ahead and move over to the next game. Okay, so let's move over to the final Windows game that I'm testing in Linux. That is Yakuza Zero. Another fan favorite, one that I've always wanted to try, but very much like Metal Gear, I couldn't because I didn't have a home console. And I'm so glad that this game is now available for me to try out in Linux. Yakuza Zero is a prequel to the whole Yakuza series. I've never played any of the Yakuza games, even when it was first released, I think, on the PlayStation 3. So definitely good that I'm now a real Yakuza, because I'm finally playing this for the first time, at least here in Linux. Now, I haven't played much of this game at all, but whenever I did try this out, I was like, yeah, this is Shenmue for sure, at least from my opinion. A lot of people will compare this to Grand Theft Auto. So here is the graphics settings right here. I didn't do much to this at all. You know, it's high for the graphics settings. So let me go ahead and continue the game that I had before. And very much like all the other games that are running on Proton, more than playable. And I'm normally getting 60 frames per second is something that is the norm. So check that out right here. Man, awesome. This is what Grand Theft Auto could be if it was set in Japan. Who knows, maybe the next Grand Theft Auto series might go to Japan and they might have some type of crazy crossover. I want to show you some of the environment right here. That's downtown Japan, I guess. Wow, it's so awesome. And I have had so much fun just like running around in this game. I haven't really done anything, I'm not gonna lie to you. Nothing important, just walking around, just kind of looking at stuff, just admiring this. And of course, beating up people along the way. Yakuza Zero, man. I don't know who came up with this idea, but I'm so glad they did. And very much like Shenmue, you could find some arcades and play some retro games here as well. The full retro games, if I'm not mistaken, and so many fun side games So who's stopping me? All right, let's bust up some delinquents with a bike. Yes. This is why this game is so much fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously at all. It's like playing a movie in a lot of ways, a gangster movie. Wow, how much did I get? Yeah, man. Sega, yes. It must be the arcade right here. Is it? Oh, I don't know if I could go in there. Oh yeah, so I'll get to show you this arcade that I was talking about. All right. Oh man, this is awesome. Let's go ahead and try one of these games. Can I play this? Yes. One of my favorite games of all time, Outrun. And let's give it a go. All right. All right. I don't know. Can I play this? Nope. All right, let's go. Wow. This is so crazy that I'm actually able to play Outrun right here. All right, how do I insert coins? I don't know how I'm going to insert coins. All right, there is my insert coins. Let's go ahead and start. 1, 2, 3, boom. Man, I cannot believe I'm playing Outrun inside another video game. This is so meta. This is awesome, man. It's like I'm in the Matrix in a Matrix. And I guess that's how I want to end off this episode. As you can see there, no problems at all running these games. Whether I'm playing this in native Linux games or games through the Proton layer, playing Windows games. It is absolutely amazing that I'm able to do this now. And the AMD RX 470 GPU, if you have this graphics card, or maybe you could get it, like I said, used on eBay, I'd highly recommend you get this if you are a gamer like myself, you are a casual gamer, and you are running Linux. You should have no problems getting a really great gaming experience, especially now since we have this Proton layer. There's so many more Windows games are going to be available, and that's pretty much what really got me into playing more games on my PC is because of this host theme Proton, because there's really not that many native Linux games, at least newer ones. And there's a lot of classics like this one or Strider or any of the other games, Metal Gear, that I showed you that I simply couldn't play before. And then trying out other games like Dark Souls 3 and of course Doom. Now I'm able to do all of that. So I really want to give a big thanks to the developers at Valve, for the people who develop Wine and just making this available. And of course for the people at AMD for creating this awesome GPU, which has allowed me to enjoy this gaming experience here. And so if you did have any thoughts on this, I'd like to know. Leave your comments in the comments area. And if you did want to see my older videos where I actually started testing this Proton gaming out in Linux and my whole experience, I will also leave that in the description area below. So as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hey geeks, if you are a creative geek like me and you wanted to learn how to create content on YouTube and other places on the internet, then check out my Go Content Creators group, where you'll get access to 30 videos plus additional content for all the creative geeks out there. And the best part of it is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and sign up for my Go Content Creators group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.